Welcome to Ninerology. I'm Alan, your host. Today we got a full lineup. We're going to be talking about Pro Bowlers. We're going to talk about the Pro Bowl snubs. We're going to talk about Jason Verrett. We're going to take a look at the playoff picture, what that looks like. We're going to talk about 49ers Rams and what the best possible outcome is for going into Sunday and looking into the future. First off, the Niners kind of led the league with 9 Pro Bowlers. We're going to go through that list. We got Nick Bosa, you got Javon Hargrave, you got Kyle Juszczyk, George Kittle, CMC, Brock Purdy got to his first Pro Bowl. Charvarius Ward, his first Pro Bowl. Fred Warner, you got Trent Williams, big play Trent. Now the most notable snub is Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk, how is he not included in this? Let's just take a look at some of his numbers. 72 catches on the year, 1,317 receiving yards, by far leading the NFL in yards per catch with 18.3. He's got 7 touchdowns. I want to talk about the yards per catch really quick. At 18.3, the year before, he is actually averaging 5.3 more yards per catch this year than he did the year before. That just shows you the biggest impact that he's having on the Niners this year compared to last year. And he's doing this with 50 fewer targets than any other Pro Bowler and still has roughly around the same numbers. Now, check out this stat. For passes to Brandon Ayuk, he has an 81.9% first down rate. That is by far the best in the NFL. That means when he gets the ball, he is getting first downs or he's getting touchdowns. That's what you want in a receiver. That's what you want in a playmaker. Those yak yards to turn nothing into something, to take those short routes, in routes, or even be able to do the deep ball. And Ayuk does that. He's one of the most pure route runners in the entire NFL, and it's unfortunate he's not getting the recognition. Now, I'm hoping that the 49ers will reward him, but, the football can be a sketchy business, and they can use this as leverage to not get him the annual pay rate that he deserves. Now, we did see John Lynch come out and say that he sees him as a Pro Bowler and an All Pro, but let's see if he's actually going to pay him in that way. So, Ayuk, we're rooting for you. We know you made second team for the Pro Bowl, the alternate, as well as Debo, but that wasn't just a clear outright Pro Bowler. So, hopefully next year you will get the recognition that you deserve. Uh, and then this week we heard about Jason Verrett. He went down awkwardly, went up for a ball and landed awkwardly on his shoulder. Was in pain. Came back the next morning, was still in pain. Had an MRI. Turned out to be a torn rotator cuff, which can take anywhere from 5 to 6 months recovery. It is not a good time. Kyle Shanahan had some things to say that he kind of put some things into perspective for Jason Verrett. Like, look, it wasn't a knee, it wasn't an Achilles, and he's come back so many times. This is his 6th season-ending injury. Just tragic, just terrible, just heartbreaking for him. I really hope that he becomes a coach for the 49ers in the future. You could just tell the impact he has, the knowledge he has, and when he is on the field, he is a playmaker. Ultimately, he kind of reminds me of a Percy Harvin. Percy Harvin definitely played much more than Verrett did, but Percy Harvin was still one of those kind of untapped potentials because the migraines, the head injuries, those kind of things really derailed his career. But when he was on the field, he was a difference maker, much so like Jason Verrett. And so prayers out to Verrett. Hopefully he comes back. My assumption he's probably going to try one more year. And then possibly go into coaching. But if he does, hopefully Kyle Shanahan has a spot for him. But that's something to keep an eye on. Now, the 49ers have already came out with some of the players that are already going to be out and inactive for the game. We got Eric Armstead that's going to be out, Jair Brown. You have Ross Dwelley, Tashawn Gibson, Christian McCaffrey, as well as Ambry Thomas. And we know Brock Purdy's not going to be playing. He's going to be kind of like that emergency quarterback, so he'll be that third, but he's not going to be starting. And so if they need him in a dire situation, he is there, but they really want to keep him healthy for the playoffs. My assumption is most starters are going to play 1 to 2 quarters just to kind of keep them fresh. We don't want anybody to get hurt. That's kind of the key to this game. There's nothing you can do in winning this game that's going to help you in the playoffs because you already have the number 1 seed secured. The biggest thing is come out healthy. Now, the question is why even play your starters first place is to kind of get into a rhythm. You want to kind of be football ready, your body be football ready. So sometimes those hits are good. Then there's also not being football ready. We saw that with Nick Bosa at the beginning of the year with that kind of contract holdout. Kind of took him some time to get ramped up. We don't want there to be kind of rust, even though we know that there's a lot of conversation about rust. Well, if they're going to be practicing hard doing this, yes, but there's nothing like game speed like actually in a game. So I assume starters will be about a quarter or two, but it's something to keep an eye on. The biggest key here is come out healthy. Don't get anybody hurt in this game. That's going to affect you into the playoffs. Weird things happen in the NFL. We got to make sure that everybody comes out healthy. Now, outcomes. Obviously, you always want to be rooting for the Niners to win. I do think this one, root a little extra for Sam Darnold, because I do believe the biggest threat in the NFC to the 49ers outside of the Rams would probably be the Cowboys. And I think the Rams are a great matchup for the Cowboys. So if the Niners knock off the Rams this Sunday, then more than likely the Rams will go in as the 7th seed and play the Cowboys, who would potentially be the number 2 seed in the wild card round. And so that's personally what I'm hoping for. I think they just match up really well, and I think the Cowboys would have a really hard time against the Rams, and the Rams can definitely sneak that one away and then have to come back again to Santa Clara and play the 49ers in that divisional round. So that's what I'll be rooting for. I do think they have a little bit better of a shot than the Seahawks would against the Cowboys, but that's what we're doing. We know that Puka Nacua, back to Ayuk, Puka Nacua made the Pro Bowl. Now, he's been having a phenomenal rookie year. I believe he should be the offensive rookie of the year, but I do think that he ended up taking Ayuk's spot in the Pro Bowl, and those two really should have been swapped out. Not to take anything away from Puka Nacua, he's having a phenomenal year. He's probably going to break the rookie receiving record and catch record this week, and then be taken out so he doesn't get hurt or anything for the playoffs. But ultimately, Ayuk's just having a phenomenal year. You just take a look at the numbers. He's averaging 4 yards more per catch than Puka Nacua is. And Puka just has another 50 targets than Ayuk. Can you imagine if Ayuk had an additional 50 targets? What would that look like? Even if he only caught half of those passes, he would be blowing out the rest of the NFL in yards. And so, again, that's one of those snub things. So that's all we have for today. We talked about Pro Bowlers. The Rams 49ers, this is the last week of the regular season. And so, and then, you know what? Everybody's back to an 0-0 record, and, may the best team win. I firmly believe the 49ers are going to kind of cruise through the NFC, barring any weirdness. They should be, hopefully, a rematch against the Ravens just to prove that they are the top dogs in the NFL. And so keep your eye out, keep rooting for those 49ers. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will catch you after the game on Sunday for the recap. Catch you then.